is going on here? Let me fix this real quick. I don't like that. Live television, I tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, thank you for joining. This has been another episode of InfoSec Unplugged. Man, I'm all over the place. Messed up my intro. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. Welcome to another episode of InfoSec Unplugged. I'm your host, Davin Jackson. I know you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I greatly appreciate it. It has been a long day. It's been a long week. I'm sure you guys see what's going on in the news and everything, and it's just been real hectic all around. But I hope that everybody's safe. I hope their loved ones are safe. I hope everybody is, doing the best that they can, and just keep pushing and praying for peace and solidarity and everything. So, wanted to get that out real quick before we get started. But I am super excited to have my guest on. I came in contact with her, I'd probably say maybe about a year or two ago, and I've seen what she's been doing in the space. She's doing a lot of great things in cybersecurity as a whole, but also with her mentorship. And she also has some content creation stuff going on with her blog. And I had to get her on the show to share her information and her experience with you. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, please welcome Mckenna, also known as Cyberkenna on Twitter. How you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Like I said, happy to have you here. So again, thank you for joining. Like I said, I know it's been busy for a lot of people, especially on your side of things. I'm pretty sure I can imagine what that's like. But in the meantime, why don't you tell people who you are and give them a brief introduction?
Yeah, so my name is Mckenna, Cyberkenna on Twitter. My main focus being in cybersecurity is to bring blue team to everybody. And that's more so a mindset, the defense mindset to the average individual. I work as a corporate security engineer in the fintech industry. And so all day, every day, my mind is focused on how can I secure. And I noticed that a lot of the information I was learning and talking about with my peers was not so much translating to our community. And that kind of bothered me. We spend all day thinking about how we can secure companies, these big, massive corporations, but we're not really talking about how we can protect ourselves, our data, our privacy, our online identity. So my big focus has been mainly to kind of like spread that to the average person and kind of simplify cybersecurity and the idea of defense in a digital world. I want to simplify that, make it easy to understand, and make security available to everybody. So that's.
Okay, well, I mean that's a commendable thing, and I, you saw a need for it, which is great for, especially in our community, that a lot of people don't know about this field as being an option. So yes, kudos to you, and again, thank you for joining. So I mean, you touched on it briefly, about how you got into it, but did you always know you were going to get into cybersecurity? Like how did you get your I guess your foot in the door, as they say?
Yeah, so funny enough, I wasn't even really aware of cybersecurity when I joined tech. I started out as like a desktop support specialist in, state government. And really my goal was just to be a system admin. I was like, I love systems. I love helping people. I really enjoyed just the technical portion of it. And so that was like my dream. And I had gotten a junior system admin job. And because it had a lot to do with the power grid and power supply, critical infrastructure, I had to learn a little bit about NERC-CIP and compliance. And it kind of got me thinking just how cool it was to really think about securing these systems and like, oh yeah, there's more to it than just setting up systems. It's like, how do we make sure that they're secure so that people can continue to do their job and do it safely? And that kind of spurred me on. I had a boss there who kind of pushed me to get my Security Plus, and it just kind of like it snowballed from there, and I was obsessed with it afterwards. But my real first position doing security engineering was for a small women-owned MSSP under the name Geek Girl Tech. It's run by Jen DC, which she's absolutely amazing. And she was really trying to give women and people of color an opportunity to get our foot in the door and actually do some hands-on security engineering work. And I had a great time consulting with her and her company, and really learning. She really kind of like helped me learn the basics and really get like sink my teeth into stuff I was interested in. And I really owe it to her and picking up my confidence to really start to go for the industry overall. And like the same year I had been consulting with her, I got my first my big girl security engineering job. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it.
Well, I'm gonna give an applause to Geek Girl Tech, because that you don't really hear about that, especially in the cybersecurity side of things. Usually you hear, oh, someone let me intern as, doing help desk or doing other things. So to get a start in security for a small company, that's big. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's kind of the same way how I got started. I'm after I moved around for a little while and I settled down. I worked for the town that I was working in and their school system. And I said the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a sysadmin. And I thought like that was top tier for me. Right.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, goals, right? I'm going to make sysadmin. And then I got there. I kind of, when I noticed when I was starting to get there, I was almost there basically. And it was just kind of like, there's got to be something else, right? It was like this. This is great and all, but it's not what I expected. And I started getting introduced basically the hard way, because we just kept getting hit with ransomware attacks, and no one could figure why that was happening. So that led me to doing a lot of things, and then that led me into like cyber forensics and vulnerability and assessments, and then I found pen testing, and it was like, psst, okay, so yeah, that's the move.
This is it, yeah.
Yeah. So so that was major. So now, when you decided, when you discovered cybersecurity, did you know you were going to lead to the I guess the blue side? Did you know blue team or cyber defense was always going to be the plan?
Funny enough, no. I had like obviously like everybody who gets interested in cybersecurity, we run into red team. Like it's the thing that's talked about the most. It's the sexy part of cybersecurity. So that was all I was really inundated with at first. And I try to find where I might fit into that. And there was a couple of things that seemed interesting to me, but it didn't really fit the mindset that I had. So I was like, there's got to be something different that I can do that I really enjoy. And since I had started out doing like compliance, I thought, oh, okay, I'll go into compliance. I'll go into like GRC. And like risk management. That's where I thought like that's where I'm going to go. That's where I want to lead into. But the more I just kind of was doing some of the work, I kept bumping into like blue team ideology, methodology, and I was just like, okay, this is it. This is just how my brain works. This is how I think. And I just kind of became obsessed with it. And it really kind of started with me being at a really small company, just trying to like get our security posture to even be something. That really, I just fell in love with it. And it was over some really simple project, an MDM rollout, like just getting that built up from the ground up. I was like, I love this. So and then I just realized like endpoint security is where it's at. I love it. It's something that I understand really easily, and I want to take that and like run with it. So yeah, just blue team kind of just happened to me. I wasn't really so much looking for it, but I was just trying to look for a space that felt right to me, and it it found me, I guess.
Yep. That's interesting that you said that, because that was the opposite for me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
same thing. My first major project was an MDM rollout, because I was working in the special education department for the school system, and they were given iPads to help with their learning, and the iPads kept getting stolen. And there was no way to track them. No one. So at the time, Cisco came in and they were trying to sell us a bunch of switches and routers and stuff. You know how they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they had first rolled out with Meraki, their MDM, their MDM system. And I got them to agree to give it to us for free, as
Okay.
long as, well, I mean, because we bought a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. So I was like, "Go throw that in the mix," and that's how I got started. I got all the iPads back. I put them on the MDM. I was able to push patches
Mm-hmm.
anytime they needed new applications for their learning. That I just push it out that way. So that was my first foray into it. And then, like I said, then the ransomware attacks happened. And
Mm.
then, like I said, once I saw the offensive capabilities, I was like, oh yeah, that itch
Yeah.
started to happen. And then, actually, I think if it wasn't for being rejected, because I actually took a course in digital forensics and got certified,
Mm.
and I really wanted to go that route, because I loved getting into the minds of the attackers, or the perpetrators, or whatever you want to call them. I loved that idea, but in the Northeast, you had to be a cop, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that wasn't happening.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, it made me a better hacker, it made me a better pen tester,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, if it wasn't for that, who knows, I probably would have. And I might one day, because I just really enjoy that. But like I said, but it's interesting, like how the roads were parallel and just kind of switched up.
Branch
So
off.
before yeah, so before we get any
Well, you
further,
never know. I'm still
go
fresh
ahead.
into my career. You never know. Maybe red team will grab me at some point.
Hey, listen. You know what? They usually say to be the best at it, you have to kind of know both. Uh,
Absolutely.
so before we get any further, because I see that the chat is going, I have to give love to my pack again. Everybody there, the reason why I do it, why I keep pushing, why days like this where I am exhausted, I gotta go and bring the show to you guys. So I'm gonna actually give y'all a round of applause as well. And I love, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I love this. I have my stream deck and I can just do all of that. But let's see. So we have Daniel Helma says hello to both of us. And then Jermichael Porter says, "Hey, go sis."
That's my brother.
There you go. See, we got family all in the chat. So we have
Hmm.
Clifton Reed says good evening. Ty says, "Hey, Wolfpack." Kalila Scott, friend of the show, says, "Hey sis and Wolfpack." Let's see. We have Dustin McGee says,
That's
"Hey
my
Kenna."
husband.
Oh, see, look at you. Look at you. Nathaniel Animations, that's my boy, literally my son, says, "Hey." Let's see. Oh, my mom's here. Says, "Hey, hello." Uh,
Hello.
Big bro Ronald Eddings says, "Yes, sir." How you guys? How you doing? Thanks for joining, Ron. I know y'all are busy, so that's major. And oh, real quick, hold on. While we're here, let's go back. Shout out to the Hacker Valley, Chris and Ron. They just launched their 200th episode earlier this week, so that is a major accomplishment. I'm gonna run that back again. Damn it!
Congrats.
Um, like I said, when I really decided I was gonna move forward with the show and take it seriously, I was like, okay, where do I see myself going with this show? I can, continue to do it, or I can up the value, and putting it up there with Hacker Valley was the goal. And now I'm working with them. So, it's crazy how the universe works. System of Success says hello. Professor Black Ops says, "What is up, chat? What's going on, Professor?" And then yes, Jermichael does confirm that you are indeed his sister. And Kalila says, "Come over to GRC." Listen, Kiki, I'm no knock on GRC, but you that you're gonna have to hold that one down for a minute.
They
Oh,
don't need
and
me.
then
They got you. They
yeah,
got you,
yeah.
Kiki.
And then we have Jada Jackson, who is also my daughter, says hello. So yes, we
Hi.
have family all through the chat. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, share the video out, tell a friend to tell a friend. Please, let's get the numbers up. Let's get the algorithm up. As much as I love y'all, I do want to expand my pack and watch it grow. So please, if you haven't told anybody yet, or if you know anybody who's interested in talks like this, please send them over my way. So let's see where we're gonna go with this next. Oh yeah, by the way, I mean, you guys know this already, guys and girls, because I'm including everybody. You know the rules by now. If you can ask any questions that you want. You can ask anything. Just keep it clean, keep it respectful, because yeah, you know how that goes. All right, so we have Jennifer Santiago here too. Oh,
Hello.
listen. Oh, I do
I
see
got
the Grogu in the
my
back.
my baby Grogu in the back.
Where's mine? Oh, it's over there. I I have one, and my daughter has like a cult, a little baby Yoda Grogu cult going on. So it's a long
She
story.
should.
So, all right. So now, in your journey, what challenges have you faced, or are you still facing right now?
So, I mean, I think early on, the challenges that I faced the most were external ones, right? Being a young woman of color in a small, like, government setting, doing IT, like, obviously they're not very conducive to one another. So I mean, I had a lot of people like talking down to me. They didn't want a woman tech. And I really kind of had to like fight for any kind of just like acceptance that I knew what I was talking about.
Mm,
Um, so I had to push through a lot of the times, and there was days where it's just like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I feel stupid. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. And people just constantly pushing back against me, just talking down. I had some really terrible experiences at first, but um, really what kind of changed that was finally running into some other women and just in tech in general, but mainly in like cybersecurity. But I think some of the challenges that I face now are more internal challenges, right? And that's like with imposter syndrome and knowing if I'm doing the right job or how well I'm doing it. So it's more so I know how to deal with external challenges now. Like I just don't let them bother me. I know I know that I know what I'm doing, but I have to remind myself that I know what I'm doing, and I have to keep pushing myself. So it's more now the biggest challenges are just me. I'm my biggest challenge at this moment, and everybody else, I'm just like, I don't have time for you. You
say
know,
that. Say that again. You're you're your biggest challenge. I like that. Um,
absolutely.
so before I follow up, I have to show, we got to show the fellas some love in here. So he said he has to follow Jermichael's steps. That's my wife. So yep, claim it, sir. Claim it. And then we have Ozzy is here.
Hey.
Oh man, shout out to Ozzy. Much love to her. And then my daughter actually just clarified that she has 5 Grogus.
Oh,
So
okay.
there you go. Yeah. So
You need more.
um listen, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't, because that means I gotta get it. No, 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 no.
You gotta get her more.
So back to what you were saying at first. Yeah, I totally understand. Even with as many years as I have in tech and now in cybersecurity, it was and sometimes still is a daily struggle to justify your existence.
Mm-hmm.
You step into a space and you give your opinion, or you give your take based on research that you've done or stuff that you've worked on. And the first thing is, rather than someone saying, great information, blah, 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 it's like, well, what gives you the right to speak on this? And it's like I don't know, maybe the hours and days and years of studying that I've been doing. Um, and it can get to be extremely frustrating. It can lead people to walk away from this field.
Mhm.
And like I said, I can in speaking with other women and other people in the community that are, I guess, underrepresented. Uh, it's a similar story. There seems to be this ideology that other people don't know or aren't don't have the mental capacity. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, after a while, it does die down, or I mean, it still happens, but it doesn't happen as much
Mhm.
once you kind of establish yourself. And then, yeah, then the name of the game is trying to. I don't like to say keep up with everybody, because you should never measure your success based on someone else's, because you don't know their story. But yeah, it definitely is like, seeing, especially, for me, it's like, seeing you, or seeing Ron and Chris, seeing Mary Galloway, seeing people who, I've gotten to know. And even though I'm happy for all of them, it's just like I need to be there.
Right.
And then it's like, well, or you sit with them and it's like, why, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I just did a panel today with Rachel Toback and Ed Amoroso, and maybe like a third of the way in, it hit me. I'm like, the am I doing? Like, she's speaking to her experience and he's speaking to his experience, and I'm just like, and then of course it was like,
Mhm.
so Davin, I'm like, oh great. So like I'm answering the question, but in my head I'm like, don't say nothing dumb, don't say nothing, don't say nothing dumb, don't say. Then I'm like, and then I think there's, you probably see it on the video. Like I answered the question, I'm like, yeah. Um, but yeah, sometimes you have to take a step back and realize that, yeah, you are your own competition, and that you deserve to be here just like everybody else. Uh,
Absolutely.
and real quick, my wife says yes, no more. I think she was referring to the
To the
five
grow. Okay.
to the five Grogu.
Wife said no, so then that's yeah.
See how that worked? See how
Listen,
that
I'm your
worked? See how
wife.
that worked? I feel your pain, Dustin. I feel your pain. So okay, so now you worked your way up, you built up your career, and now your official title is security engineer.
Mhm.
Now, it's funny because usually security engineer is like almost like a universal name, right? I know people on the offensive side that are security engineers. Like my official title is application security engineer
Mhm.
and pen tester. I know network engineers who are network security engineers, but they deal more with the networking and routing.
Mhm.
So, what does a security engineer on the defense side do?
So, I mean, really for me, what I work on, because I'm mainly doing corporate and SecOps. So, my day is spent a lot of the time looking at our assets, looking for gaps within them, looking at the tools and processes that we use, and figuring out ways to make that secure. Now, um, we'll do pen test assessments, and then I have to look at what comes back and then go, okay, how do we defend? How do we make this better so that next time we do this, they don't get that far? Um, so a lot of my day is spent researching vulnerabilities. It's spent doing lots of baseline configuration. It's spent doing tons of gap assessments, reviewing configurations. Like, I mean, my day is just like all over the place. A project that I was doing uh, just last quarter was really focused on securing our third party applications with Okta. And so we're working on some really cool things. And now projects that I'm working on right now is building out our investigation process. I've never done that before. I've never had to do that work. So I'm learning a lot as I'm going, and I'm looking at these processes and go, does this make sense? Is this how we want to handle these incidents? Is this the best way to handle that? What is best practice? So that's a lot of what, like, on the blue side, that's what my day looks like.
So I mean, so you're actually you're sitting with multiple teams. You're sitting with the offensive side. You're sitting with the GRC team. You're sitting with your peers on the blue side as well. You're sitting, sometimes you're probably sitting with management and upper management for budgets. Um, that's that sounds like that sounds like it's a lot. But I think that's a great way to kind of be exposed to different aspects of the field, to, you know, to see, like you said, do we want to follow this process? What are the what is the right way to do it, or how does compliance look at it? Because that's the other thing you have to look at as well. Is like, okay, you work for a fintech company, so you deal with those three dreaded letters, PCI.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that fit into the equation and everything? But
Right.
but you said something, and I'm glad you brought it up, because that's something that shameless plug, that I talk about on Hacker Valley Blue, um is dealing with, you know, the information that you get from pen testing, or from doing, you know, threat analysis, or, you know, anything like that, is dealing with the threats and patches. And one of the big misconceptions is that, you know, blue teamers don't like to patch their shit. Sorry, that's just that's the misconception, right? That they don't want to patch their stuff, or they're not staying up to date with the threats, and
Mm-hmm.
what are they doing and stuff like that. So speak to that, because, you know, I've heard a lot of you know, explanations. You know, some of them are the same, some of them vary, as to some of the challenges that happen with dealing with facing certain threats, and mitigating them, and dealing with patches. So talk about the challenges that you deal with, when you have to face things like threats and patches.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this idea that blue teamers don't know what's going on, that couldn't be further from the truth. We're very aware of the threats that are out there, the vulnerabilities that our systems and our infrastructure faces, but we also then have to weigh, what does this look like as an impact on our end users? We have to consider, how is this going to impact business operations? How, you know, it's a lot of weighing of risk. Like, does the risk of not patching this outweigh the risk of patching? So it's a lot of juggling and making really hard decisions. It's a lot of testing things. So we can't just like push a patch out day one. You know, we don't know what that's going to do to our infrastructure, the systems that our users rely on. And I think people don't really think about, like, user kickback and how important that is. We can't just do what we want. Trust me, I would love to just take a strong hand to this and patch everything, patch all of our systems, our entire infrastructure, and go completely, like, you know, warden on it. But that's not functional for the business, and we have to consider how agile we're going to be, if we're affecting devs, if we're affecting end users, if we're affecting business processes. And that's really important. We have to consider that, and we have to consider so much more than just the threats.
um I'm gonna explain why I did that in a second, but first, shout out to Persistent Bake. They said, I have a love-hate relationship with Okta, don't we
Don't we
all?
all? Yeah.
And Kiki asked, how does documentation play a part in your day-to-day? We're going to get to that in a second. And Jennifer Santiago beat me to it, but she says Davin's going to be on a panel at the Sands New to Cyber Summit next month too, with role models like Davin. Hopefully the next generation of cybersecurity pros don't have to experience imposter syndrome. Hold on, there's a lot more into that. Hold on. Which is really just a reflection of having internalized messaging that some of us women and people of color don't belong. We do, and we're here, and we're going to keep showing up. No, I
Amen.
appreciate it. Thank you. I guess I will applaud myself. But the reason for the reason for you know, for the onslaught of applauses and navis from Zelda was because that was probably the best explanation I have heard thus far, and I have talked to a lot of people. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking them. They all gave great explanations, but as far as explaining that, explaining it the way you did, that's probably the best explanation I heard, and I agree 100% that yeah, sometimes you have to realize that you can't just patch everything right then and there. Patches do break other things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might not have to, right? Yeah, you might have something that's vulnerable, but it might not, but it might be on a system that's not necessarily public facing or that people can really access. So you do have to weigh all of those things. I think I think where the misconception happens is when you hear things in the news like, "Oh, this vulnerability, people we've known about this vulnerability for like 10 years." And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell were y'all doing this whole time? So, yes, like I said, I agree 100% to that, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that sometimes you can patch something, but at what cost, right?
Right.
Sometimes you might not be able to patch it at all because they might be obsolete by design. I'm talking about industrial control systems and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Sometimes you're going to run into some systems that are still running like Windows XP or an old version of Windows because you can't do anything, and if you do, you're going to break millions of dollars or you're going to void warranties. So there is a lot of things that come that come with that territory. So again, thank you for that answer. um
Absolutely.
so now we'll get back to Kalila, because I think that is a good question. So how much does dealing with documentation play a part in your day to day?
So for me, because I'm a documentation queen, it's everything. I document everything I do, from assessments to the processes that I'm working on and iterating on. I think unfortunately in a lot of places, blue teamers and security engineers all together are we're so busy and we're so inundated with work and projects and tasks that have to be done, and end users that need to be educated, and business operations that need our focus, that documentation goes it gets missed a lot, and if you don't have a GRC or you don't have a risk management team, it's really difficult. And so you have to make the time or figure out a way to get the team to start documenting more. So, I mean, everywhere I've gone, I've always brought this heavy documentation focused attitude, because pretty much everywhere I've ever been has been lacking in documentation, and I make it my goal to build a knowledge base. So for me, it's everything. It plays a huge role in my day to day work. For others, I can't say that it's always that way, but I know there are plenty of us that are out here trying to um, uh, fix what's not there, what's missing, because it's important. If one of us ever leaves and goes somewhere else, we need that proof or that documentation there to help someone coming in after us.
Hold on. Can can we talk about? I know a lot of people hate documentation, but can we talk about how much of a cheat code documentation is? Um, on for multiple reasons. For me, I tell the people I mentor, learn to love documentation,
Mm-hmm.
because this is, especially on a pen testing side, this is your time to shine, right? Especially if you did an assessment pretty much on your own, and you found major vulnerabilities or you exploited something. This is your moment.
Mm-hmm.
um and like you said, building that documentation, and building that you know that information library for future employees, right, that to come. um that's a major cheat code in itself too, because for one, you can write it up and you can take that with you, right? Obviously, you have to take anything out that's proprietary
Mm-hmm.
or that would break NDAs. But essentially, you can create a template
Yeah.
and bring it somewhere. Not to mention, that looks really good come review time, or I say keep a folder of all your wins for, so when your annual review or your 6-month review comes up, you can say, this is what I did. This is
Hmm.
I literally created the pen testing program where I work. I literally created what we do for PCI or for SOC 2 compliance.
Hmm.
I literally wrote all of that up, and you can, that's a major flex. And again, you can take that with you. You can share that documentation. You can turn around and create content away off of it, which we're going to get into shortly. So yeah, you have to learn, especially in this field, you have to learn to love to read as well as write the documentation,
Hmm.
because if you're sitting on a lot of papers and a lot of notes that could probably help you, so that's just my take on it. Like people
Yeah.
like, oh, I hate, I don't want to read nothing, I don't want. Well, you're in the wrong field, so sorry.
You're missing out. It's a gold mine.
Yes.
And like you said, templates. That I am again a template queen. I take my templates wherever I go, and that's something that I want to share with others because I know sometimes it's just hard. Like you don't want to sit there and do it. But if you can't find the template for it, just think that 1-2 hours of work that you're going to put in that's miserable is going to save you so much time the rest of your career. So just do it. Just do
Yep.
documentation. Learn to find something you like about it, and just like go out there and be great because I guarantee you the next place you're gonna go is lacking documentation because it's not taken seriously as much as it should be. So just
No,
that's just an easy win. It's an easy win.
no, absolutely. And like I said, or like you said, yeah, the next place might not have it, or pretty much won't have it. Um, and it also, for me, when you do it the right way, you're right. When you're not just, writing up some nonsense, or you're not just copying and pasting what a vulnerability scan said, but when you're actually researching it, you're learning as you're reading and writing and typing. So now when you type it up, for me, like even with my blogs, I know, oh man, how do I do that again? How do I reconfigure this again? Oh, wait, I wrote something about it. So it's literally right there, on the blog or my YouTube channel or whatever, where I created that content. So, yes, you have to get used to, right? Especially, like I said, you have to get used to it. You have to love it. Like I said, it definitely will help it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Information and Fun Factory. I see you have a bunch of questions. You said hello, so I said hello, and then McKenna says, he also says hello. Let's see. L says they're late, but here. Hey everyone. Hey L, thanks for joining. Gary says big fan of the show. Kalila says, I know GRC team loves you at your job.
If we had one, girl, if we have one, why don't you come over and do it?
So, and then Information Fun Factory, how to hack a website, how to control ping and bypassing the server. Listen, these are things that you would have to, that you would learn, do the research lab and things of that nature. Which certification is required to become a well practiced pen tester? There's so many. I would say check out INE, check out what they got going on with the EJPT. It all depends on your experience and what you want to do. Go check out Cyber Mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Hope I answered all the questions. So you're over here saying, "Dude, respond to my questions." I'm talking. I'm doing the show. I can't do both. So
How
sorry.
dare you, man? How dare you?
Sorry, I'm trying to. I'm trying. I'm trying. Please like, subscribe, and and leave a comment. Okay, so in talking about writing and documentation, and I think I touched on it. We talked about blogging and content creation. So I saw you started a blog
Yes.
called CyberLit.co. And you have a lot of different cybersecurity related topics, and they vary. So in doing that documentation and in all that experience, is that what led you to create that blog? And where do you see it going now?
Yeah, so the blog kind of started out as a way for me to just kind of like document what I was learning. And as I've really started to interact with more people in the industry, and it's like, okay, this could be a legit way to share information. And so, yeah, my blog is not quite where I want it yet, but the goal is to really turn it into a resource for really more so the average individual who's trying to learn digital security and digital privacy. But I also want it to be a space where I can share resources for women in the industry or people of color who are trying to get into cybersecurity. So it's going to be a lot of different things. But I did in my on Twitter put a thread that kind of broke down what to expect from me and like what I'm going to be doing. My main focus is to educate, entertain, and empower. That's it. That's all I care about. However I do that, that's I'm gonna do whatever works, but that's my main focus.
No, that's a great that's a great model to follow. Piece of advice: don't worry about getting it where you want to be. It'll come with time. When I first started my blog, I think I was publishing like 3 times a week, right? And I was publishing from things that were going on in the news, in the field, latest exploits, latest patches,
Mm-hmm.
latest breaches. Then I would do my stuff, and yeah, when you rush to get all of that done, unfortunately, you burn yourself out even from doing that. So now, I mean, it's to the point where I actually have a bunch of articles that I've written, but I'm waiting to revamp the website. So that's the other thing. You're never going to be fully satisfied, right? It's like, oh, I
Right.
want to get it to where I wanted to get it. And then you get there for a little bit and you're like, now what?
Yeah.
Right? I want to do more with it. So, take your time with it, pace yourself. Like, don't burn yourself out with it. And just
Yeah. And
have
I
fun. Have
yeah,
fun and follow those, follow those that model that you want to do. So I think
absolutely.
that's
And I think
major.
more of the work that I'm doing right now, I think because I'm so focused right now on the work that I'm doing at WSC that it's not really that main focus. I'm so focused on the women that I'm supporting and guiding and mentoring that I don't have a problem if it's going to take me a little bit to get my blog to where I want it to be because right now creating that connection in that community is so much more important to me. So, but I do hope to get it somewhere nice that it's a respectable blog to come visit.
Well, like I said, it comes with time. I think Kalila also said it in the comments, but you did touch on it. You are mentoring with the Women's Society of Cyberjutsu, so shout out to them. Shout out to Mary Galloway, another friend of the show. Um, what? How did that partnership happen, and what's that been like so far?
Oh my goodness. So it really started because I was working at Splunk and I had bumped into a female pen tester who was really wanting to mentor people. And I reached out to her and I was just like, hey, this is something I'm interested in. I don't know if I want to do pen testing, but I kind of want to go into cybersecurity. And her first thing to me was you have to find a community. Find communities where you can be inspired and where you can grow. And she listed like WSC was one of the places that she listed. So I joined and it was real slow at first until I think it was last year before. It was like right as the pandemic just like popped off. They were looking to build a chapter in Dallas. And I said, I would like to do that. I have nothing else to do. I'm working from home. Bored. The world is falling apart. So let me find something to distract myself with. And that's kind of how it started. I helped build that chapter up with really four. We had a fourth come in, but just like three amazing women in the Dallas area. And we were able to, do we've done quite a few certification study groups. We've hosted a lot of events. I've done like book giveaways and stuff like that. So that's really how it started. And now I'm actually, funny enough, I'm moving away from doing chapter work, and I'm going to be moving over to the webinar team where I'm going to be hosting interviews of people in the industry where we can really talk about like a day in the life of. So I'm really excited to start doing that. That just happened last week. So I will be an even bigger part on the more national, international stage for WSC. And I really look forward to doing that. I'm hoping I can start doing like Twitter spaces where we can really like source people to come and talk and give their experiences and tell us more about what they do in the industry. So
I'm gonna do that. Um, no, that's big. Congratulations. If you ever need, if you're ever short on a guest, you know how to find me.
Oh
Mary
yeah,
knows. Look,
already on the list.
Mary knows how to find me. If
Yeah.
she's not here already, she like bullies me into stuff. So I'm actually doing a lot of work with with the group coming soon. So we'll stay tuned for that. Now you talked about starting. Now what was that challenge like, starting a brand new group for an established community um, in a pandemic, right? And and like I said, you're starting it from scratch. I mean, Dallas does have a big tech community,
Mm-hmm.
but and they do have a lot of cybersecurity focused groups and meetups and everything like that. So, what was that experience like, having to build this community to stand out on its own in a community with, I guess, a lot of competition, so to speak?
Yeah, so I think it was really challenging at first because none of us had ever done that before. We didn't even know what that really looked like. I mean, of course, WSC provided us like guidelines and like ways that we could do it, but we really kind of had to find our own voice and like what our own flavor of community felt like. So, I mean, really, it came down to us staying really close to the pulse of like what women specifically were looking for in their community in these chapters. We talked with a lot of different people from all across WSC, other members, other mentors, other chapters, and we really tried to zone in on what people were focused on, especially during a pandemic, kind of because it kind of shifted. We couldn't do in-person meetups, so we really kind of had to shift our focus into like what's important to everybody right now. And I mean, at that time, everybody was trying to get certs because I mean, like, what else could you do than to really zone in and focus and like get that cert you said you were going to get, but never had the time to do or never had somebody to study with. And so I think that kind of helped us stand out. And we did quite a few of those. And I had just gotten done, I think, maybe like a couple of months ago, doing the Security Plus, and we had several women join, and we had several women pass their first time, so that was really cool. But it was really hard. But I mean, I think the most important thing was like we listened to what people wanted. We didn't just decide what we thought was best for our chapter. We really kind of let our members tell us what they thought was best for them.
No, that's great. And yeah, 2020 was a wild time for certifications. It was like an arms race,
Yeah,
right? It was just like, I have nothing else to do. I know what I'm going to do.
right.
I'm going to study, right? Since I
Exactly.
can't go outside anyway, I have nothing else to do. But yeah, it definitely that was definitely a time. I mean, and it still is to
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of it, But one of the things that I missed out on, I guess because I started it back in my day. Uh, Most of the studying was solo, right? So it was lonely, so to speak. Which reminds me, I need to get like a sad sound effect. But yeah, yeah, it was a lonely experience because it was like me, the basement, maybe some music and a book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is that like to have that group feeling, that camaraderie, that family dynamic, um, in a study group? Because like I said, maybe because I'm so used to the way of doing things, like I'll jump into a study group here and there just to kind of help out. But as far as actually help me study, I've either, and I'm not saying it to flex or to pat myself on the back, but I've either already gotten those certifications,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not interested in those certifications at the moment. So I don't really see a benefit for me personally. But what is that like to actually, have that group, that pack mentality when studying, and does that actually prove to be successful?
I think, yeah, 100% it proves to be successful. I think it allows everybody to really get into the topic and really get focused on the topic. I mean, at least just from like my experience leading that study group, because I had already had the Security Plus, and I got it back when it was like, I don't even know what number it is at this point. That shame on me. But I had gotten it like the exam before, so I was just like, oh, this is gonna be easy. I can help teach, but it was really kind of interesting because there was new concepts and topics that I hadn't come across yet, and so it also forced me to kind of to learn these topics a little bit deeper because now I had to explain, and people asked really great questions, and I think it gave them perspective, especially for us that are in the industry. It was kind of like this hands-on, not necessarily hands-on, but they got to really get like insider kind of scope into what does this actually look like, what does this even mean, like how would you look at this from a use case standpoint. And so I think it helps to get everybody a little bit more aligned, not make you feel so lonely, not make you feel so bored. Like it's just more engaging when you're like, hey, what did everybody get for this question? Oh, I didn't get that. Well, why did you think it was this question? Or why is this correct versus that? I really think it's this. And so it really generates discussion. And I feel like because of that, you learn the concepts deeper. You care about the concepts a little bit more because now you're looking at it from an actual industry standpoint versus just a boring, like theoretical, like book. Like it's just boring. Let's be honest, it's kind of boring. So it makes it more engaging. And I think it's helped a lot because a lot of our ladies passed the first time, and these are women with zero tech experience. I mean, they're coming completely from different industries. We had one who's a teacher, who just passed hers and she's trying to move over into GRC. And so I think it's great because it really does just kind of help make it feel more real instead of just this cert I got to get, it adds texture, I think.
So, Kalila, if you're still here, you hear that? Someone's looking in GRC. We'll send them your way. Um, and let's see, Satellite Inc. says pack mentality is awesome, and that
Mm-hmm.
everyone brings something new to the table. Like I said, I think like I like that concept. I like the concept of everybody has their own different way to look at things, and maybe I'll look at it. There are a couple certifications I'm looking at, so I have to find some solutions architect certification, study groups and stuff like that. But yeah, and I think it also gives an opportunity for those who are, like you said, who are already certified to learn something new, learn about the updates, or even teach it. Which is, if that's what you're into, or if that's what that's where you want to go. Like me, I think that's the next phase of my career, is to probably
Mm-hmm.
move into the teaching and training side of things. I think I'm a couple more years and I'm going to ride off into the sunset. It's kind of, so to speak. But
Well, see, then
yeah,
you
I
can
think
help
that's
somebody with like certification study, and that's a great way because I was like, I don't know how to teach this stuff, and I kind of had to put on my teacher's hat. Like, how
yeah,
do I explain this concept that's really easy to me, but someone completely outside of the industry, how am I going to explain this that they understand it? So it's like, I don't know, it's a great learning experience, but also like a good teaching experience too.
yeah. Hold on. Infinite Improbability says I have the TASP plus. I took the Security Plus practice test for kicks. Realized after I switched to data analytics, I became rusty. Yeah,
Yeah.
that happens. If I had to go take like a Microsoft exam right about now, I probably, I probably wouldn't even want to waste my money. Seriously. Um, but I think I think you touched on it a little bit already with, having the group and the importance and the success rate that you have, which by the way should also be a flex. I think you might need to put that in your win column that out of how many people join the study group, this is the success rate. That's something that's
Hmm.
major. And I mean, on top of the fact that that is another thing you can do to help boost your career or your resume by saying you're doing these groups. Um, it just feels good to help others. And speak on that, because sometimes when you hear people say that they do a lot of mentoring or they do a lot of volunteering, the first thing that comes to mind to a lot of people are like, but you're not making any money. and
Mm,
and although that is true, and there are times where you need to know your worth, and yesterday's price is not today's price, and all of the other taglines that people are going to use when it comes to getting your money, there is a time to take a step back and help others, right? And I think for me, I wanted to do mentoring and teaching and stuff because I didn't have that when I came into the field. I didn't have, a quote unquote mentor. I had my instructor who would, answer questions every here and there when they got around to seeing my email. And then other than
mm,
that, I got left on red a lot. And when I decided that I was moving on with my career, I had that chip on my shoulder for a long time. And one of the things that led me to starting my blog was I started to realize I was getting really busy, and I didn't want to leave people on red, and I didn't want to have anyone feeling like how I felt. So that's how I started to blog. And now that I've gotten, I guess, to a point in my career where I'm a little more stable, I can reach out and help others. And yeah, I don't get paid for it. I mean, YouTube isn't paying no bills here. Shout out to YouTube unless y'all want to jump the algorithm up and then I get and help with that monetization. But you YouTube isn't paying the bills. I get a little bit from ad revenue here and there. If those want to buy me a coffee or anything like that, that's one thing. But it's something, to me, it's an amazing feeling when you get that message from someone who's like, I've been stuck on this for so long, and how you explained it to me helped, or I was able to pass because you helped me with this. Or you never know how it could be 20 minutes of your own time or 30 minutes or an hour of your own time, but that could mean the world, or that can literally change the trajectory of someone's career and even their life. So I wanted to take a moment to speak to that, speak to the importance of mentoring, and that that fuzzy feeling you get when you help someone.
yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing that's important to remember when it comes to volunteering is that you get as much back as you put in. Not always, but a lot of the times you do. And yeah, I do it for the warm and fuzzy and because I want to see more people like us in my industry. I would love for us to take over, but I want to see us in the industry. I want to see representation in the industry, and that means that I have to be willing to help open doors. I have to be willing to help put a hand out. I have to be willing to support and empower others if I want to see that vision happen. And so to me, volunteering and mentoring is my way of making sure more of us women, people of color, anybody gets in this industry because we need it. We need the diverse backgrounds. But also, I think if you feel like you're not getting anything out of volunteering, I can tell you 110% volunteering and mentoring is networking 100% because I cannot tell you how many times I have had job offers or been put in front of other people and had opportunities open to me just because people know that I'm doing this work. They see my work. Um, I was lucky enough to be, seen by the head of security at my current job. I didn't apply for that job. I was quite comfortable doing my regular system admin kind of security admin work. And because they had seen the work that I'd done within the community, they reached out to me. And I got that interview jumping way past all the other hoops and whatever BS that people are now, people say are a blocker to even getting into these really amazing jobs. I didn't have to do any of that because they saw the work I was doing. They were already impressed. They already knew what I could do, and they wanted me on their team. So I think if you're taking this mentality of like, I'm not getting paid for it, I think you just have the wrong perspective. You may not be getting paid money right now, but maybe that's money down the line that you're turning your nose up to because you want it right now versus later in the, in the long term. Be strategic about it. Don't expect going to, getting something out of it right now. I mean, yeah, maybe the warm fuzzies, and that's what keeps me going. But
Yeah.
the opportunities that I have had just from mentoring at WSE are beyond my wildest dreams. I would not be here right now where I'm at, being as comfortable as I am and being able to even do this talk with you had I not done all that work. So to me, it's 100 times worth it.
Oh, I'm gonna run that back. No, that's important. Unfortunately, we live in a time of instant gratification, right?
Yes.
Me, 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 me. What do I get out of it? How much work do I have to put in? Or, I feel like I did this amount of work, but I want this type,
Right.
this amount of reward for it. And like you said, you don't know about, you never know the opportunities, and it's because it's a selfless act, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when I first moved to Georgia, the first thing I did was look for meetup groups, right? Because I said I wanted to network and stuff like that. And I remember I joined a meetup group, and the person who I guess was the organizer at the time had some type of emergency or whatever, but they weren't able to be there. Um, and I was there, and they were working on building Kali Linux VMs, and everybody was struggling at different points. Now this is something that I've I do in my sleep. Like I've written articles, shameless plug, but I've written articles, I've done videos, I've done tutorials on how to configure your Kali Linux, how to get fresh SSH keys, and why you should do all these things. So I was there with my son. We were at like the Panera Bread, and that's where they were meeting. And I just kind of, I don't want to say I took over, but it was like, this is where you're stuck. This is why you're stuck. Oh, you might want to do this, or change your network settings from this to this. Um and doing that, there was I remember sitting there, and there was this one older African American gentleman sitting back there, and he's just looking. And I remember going, all right, this is weird. Like, why are because the Bridgeport in me was like, yo, what are you looking at? Is there a problem? Right. But I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I'm with my son, and I'm like, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, all right, this, whatever, this is going to get awkward. When it's time to go, I'm going to hurry up, bring my son in the car. If dude follow me, it's going to be some action. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to the end, and people are thanking me for helping them and stuff like that, and whatever. We're exchanging information, and the guy walks up to me, and he goes, I'm impressed. And he hands me his card. He was like the senior VP of a fintech company. And the crazy part is, I never, like, I mean, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I just kind of put it off to the side. Years later, I end up applying for this job at the fintech company, and he was there, and he comes over to me and goes, do you remember me? And I'm like, no. He's like, I was a guy that you was kind of looking at, like, who you looking at? And I'm like, I didn't mean it. He goes, no, but it just goes to show you, this is, and I mean, this is like 2-3 years later. I mean, granted, the job didn't go well. I mean, he's not there anymore either. But but it just goes to show you, what's going on. At the same time, even what I'm doing here with this show, and the the YouTube stuff, or when I did the Advent of Cyber event, and I'm doing all of those videos, um, a lot of people look at it and they go, "Oh, you only have this many people watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you only have like 10 people, you only have 20 people, you only have whatever." But you never know who's paying attention, right? I did the show. I'm doing this show. I'm not worried about the numbers. but it led me to different opportunities. It led me to meet so many people. I got to meet you. I got to meet Mary Galloway. I got to meet Marcus J. Carey, who I've admired from a distance. Now he's on the show giving me advice. I got to interview Chris and Ron from Hacker Valley, and that led to the opportunity that I have now. Shameless plug, but but if you have to trust the process, right? And you have to you have to do it. It has to be genuine, and you have to be doing it for the right reasons. Otherwise, if you're looking for something out of acts of kindness, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I believe in karma, and it's like, no, that nothing good is going to happen if you're pretending to do good.
Absolutely.
Right? Take it back to even 2020, when everybody was kumbaya and getting along, and it was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna wait for Najla Lindsay said it best. I'm gonna sit back and wait 6 months from now, and I'm gonna wait to see, okay, do you still feel that way, and was that performative? And sure enough,
right,
here we are. So yeah, whenever you aren't genuine with your actions, it shows. And to me, that's a lot worse than just not doing it at all.
Absolutely.
So all right, so we're gonna get into the final stretch of questions. Let me just double check the chat. Marcus says, what you looking at, dog? No, for real. Like, just imagine, right? You're sitting here, you're in like a Panera Bread or a coffee shop, and like you feel like the side of your face burning. And you just look over and you just see someone just kind of
like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, like you're not even like you're even a little distance from the rest of the group. So it's like, are you with the group? Are you not with the group? You ain't got a computer. What do you do? And you're just like, all right. And like I said, this is my first year down here, and I'm like, I don't know nobody. I must look like a target. Like, is this man going? I don't know what this man is thinking. And like I said, and then I'm like, I'm here with my son, so I'm like, I can't even act out a certain way because I got my son watching. He was just,
I've been like, let's go, baby, we leaving.
So I'm like, right? I'm like, all right, look, I'm just gonna get through this. I'm just gonna get through this, but Lord help him. I'm saying all type of prayers, like, Lord, like, please don't let this man get it twisted and confused.
Let this weirdo leave me be.
Please, Lord, don't let this man F around and find out. like this is just all that's going on in my head.
My kid.
Yeah, like and like you said earlier, the wife run things, right? So in my head, I'm playing out the explanation I'm gonna give to my wife. Well, babe, see, he was kind of looking at me funny, and then he walked up on me, and I got nervous, and I'm sorry. Like, right? I'm playing the whole thing in my head, like, how am I gonna explain this? Like little man ain't gonna want to go out with me because like, Dad, every time you go out, you get in trouble. So it's just like, I'm just in my head. I'm playing all of this in my head. Like, please, let's see. We had side eye, shade, mean mug, loco look. No, for real. Like, it was just weird. Creeper. Yeah, it was just weird. I'm sorry. Like I said, and he's a great guy. Shout out to him. I'm not gonna say your name, but we talked about it. Like, I can say that because like we talked about it. I was like, dude, nah, you can't just be off in a corner looking like that. This day and age, you might want to, I don't know, change your glasses or something. I don't know. Oh man. So, all right. So, talked about the volunteering you're doing with the Women's Society of Cyberjutsu. You talked about the blog. You talked about your documentation and coming up with processes for work. So what is a day in the life like for Mckenna Yakey?
That is, you know what? That is a great question. I don't know. It changes every day. I got my husband, me and my husband, we both work from home. We got 2 dogs, just got a puppy. So my average days don't look normal anymore. But I mean, a lot of my day is spent focusing on the work that I'm doing, the stuff that I'm doing on the side. So I mean, my day is I have. I'll tell you one thing. Time management has become my greatest asset. It is my greatest strength at this point to get everything done that I need to get done, to juggle all the challenges that I have, to show up every day my best. I have to manage my time. So if there's anything I can tell anybody is get good at time management. Get you a to-do list. Use to-do-list. I don't care what you use. If you're trying to be your best, you need to stay organized and have your time plotted out correctly. But yeah, I mean, my days are kind of just all over the place right now. I'm hoping that they'll become somewhat normal eventually.
Well, when you find out, please tell me.
I'll let you know.
That is the one thing I struggle with. Like I have my wife and my kids, and I have a dog. I have a dog. We have a bearded dragon. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and then then I have the show, and then I have the other show, and then I have the blog, and the other things that I take in. I do have like one, two, three. I have three whiteboards that have like a list of things I should do, and then I have another one that kind of just like more of like a motivational type thing. But yeah, I do have I have that. I've utilized like my calendar a lot more. Like I literally have like alarms for everything. Like I have alarms that tell me to like stand up, because I've noticed that there's like a stretch where
You
I
won't be
might.
moving.
Yeah, I'm not moving. I haven't moved for like 3 hours because I might have gotten caught on a vulnerability or trying to flesh out an exploit or something like that. So yeah, that's one thing that I do need to improve on is my time management. And
And it helps with stress management too. I'll just be honest. And yes, whiteboards. You can ask my husband. There's a big old whiteboard out there that's always got a to-do list. He's very familiar with it.
yeah, no, seriously, it helps. It for me, it's a gift and a curse, right? Because on one hand, you can look at it like this is all the things I have to do, and then and at the same time, you can look at it like shit. This is all the things I have to do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh, these are all things. Hey, yeah, I'm organized. And then you sit there and you go, but what? And then a couple days go by, and I'm like, I haven't crossed anything off that list. Now I'm starting to get stressed out. It's like, right, like I have like my Q1, like things I want to get done by end of Q1. And I'm like, I haven't done anything on that list. Now that I literally look at it, like, right?
Now you're gonna go to bed stressed.
Yeah, I'm like,
all the things you got to do.
Yep. Like I can see it now. Like my wife's gonna lean over, and go, "What? What are you thinking about? Like, get some sleep." Right. So yeah. Let's see, real quick before we jump into my next question. We have what strategies do you recommend to generate interest in young bucks? I don't mean in 5 years. I'm talking about priming the next generation. So then it depends on the audience. And I'll let Mckenna answer as well, but for me it depends on the audience. That was how my talk hacking and gaming came to be, right? Because I wanted to interest middle school to like middle school on up, and the first thing that came to my mind was making that relatable to video games that they play. So Fortnite, Call of Duty. And actually it was during my son was in an esport league, which was crazy because like down here they have like esports leagues like AAU for sports, but it's for video games because you can actually go to college on a video game scholarship. So all those years that my mother told me that video games would never do anything with my life, I feel like she lied to me. So thank you for that. But anyway, it was during that I was like, oh, essentially it's the same process of pen testing. Yeah, you're not using, so it's like the five phases of a pen test. So you have your enumeration, you have your, scoping out the land, you have your figuring out the vulnerabilities, exploiting the vulnerabilities, elevating privileges, and then documentation. Essentially it's the same process, right? So that's how I came up with it. So like when you're playing Fortnite, you pick the area you want to land in, you're surveying the area any potential targets, any loot that you need to get, anything that's going to help you move on. Uh,
Mhm.
you find your first target, you have to find that vulnerability. So the vulnerability, you have to find the target first so you can find certain hints like, oh, this house is broken up, or they built up whatever thing they make with the wood, the planks. So you know someone's there, or someone's been there. Okay, now you have to poke around for the vulnerability. Okay, they have a shield, boom, crack the shield. Now they're exploitable. Take out the big guns or the big weapon, take them out. Now you're gathering the loot, and now elevating privileges is essentially doing the same thing over again, scoping the field again. Here's more people. And as you progress through the game and as you get higher in the rank, you're elevating your privileges. And then the documentation is the stats you get at the end. You know, how many kills did you get? How many assists did you have? And then you take that to improve on the next game. So once I kind of came up with that concept, it was like it was simple.
Mhm.
But like I said, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Fortnite. I mean, we do it with all video games. From Pac-Man to Mario Brothers, you take a moment to figure out the scope of the land and how things work, and then you make it work for you, and then you try to figure out how to beat the game and move to the next level. So, like I said, it just depends on the audience. High school kids have proven to be a lot harder, because they don't care. Not that they don't care, but they don't want to hear so much more about the security, because obviously the things that they're usually on are inherently insecure, like TikTok. Um, so that's been a challenge for me. So I've been rambling for a little while, but you you can go ahead.
No, I think you make a great point, and I was going to say something very similar. I think you have to connect it to what that generation cares about, what's currently going on for them, what are their concerns, what are their worries, and connect security to it. Show them how security can empower them to deal with some of the issues that they're dealing with. Cyberbullying. I mean, like when I was a kid, cyberbullying was a big deal. And just learning that there was like a way to use OSINT to find like how people are using pretty much OSINT to like bully people
Mm,
was really interesting to me. So I think I think you just have to really get to know that generation that you're targeting, that you're trying to bring in, and listen to them about what they care about, and then correlate that to security. And I guarantee you will have a bigger interest. You will generate more interest. And again, video games are a great thing. I mean, when I was a kid, video games weren't popular. I know I wasn't popular for playing video games, but now everybody does. Everybody and the mama does. There's like we got Skyrim grandma now who's got like a Twitch following. So
yeah.
I think just connect with the generation, find out what's important to them, and correlate that to security. And I think it's a slam dunk from there. And that's just my opinion. I could be off, but that's what I think.
And I think one of the other things is, trying to also get the parents engaged, right?
Yeah.
You have to make security almost like a lifestyle, right? Like I think back to, I was out with my daughter one time, and I asked her for her phone, and I typed in her password to look at something, and the neighbor was like, "Wait, she gave you her phone? You know her password?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How'd you do that?" I'm like, "I'm the one who put it on her phone."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, I wish I knew my daughter's password." I'm like, "Okay, first of all, who pays the bill?" Right? And it's not so much that I'm trying to be that overbearing parent, but I work in a field where, certain things happen. And I don't spy on my kids. My kids know what I do for a living. My
Mm-hmm.
kids know that I also like to do forensics on the side as a hobby sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids know, if I really want to know the answer to a question, I'm probably going to get the answer. So you might as well just answer you. So usually it's like, you can either answer my question, or I'm going to figure out answers to questions that I didn't even think of asking. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, it has to start at home. Like my kids, they want to get on TikTok. They want to do certain things. I'm like, okay, so if I were to send you a DM right now and tell you I was a 13-year-old girl, how would you prove that I'm lying? Oh, well, because clearly you're not. How? if my profile picture said that, or my bio said that, or you actually tried to look around and everything that you saw, pictures,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, showed that, how would you know? So like my kids know not to share, share their information. My kids know not to, like, my kids even know about trying not to show certain landmarks for that same thing, like
Mm-hmm.
for OSINT and things like that. So you have to make it in a way that's engaging, but you can't be that. I think the term was called like helicopter parent, like hovering
Yeah.
over everything, because then they're just going to find new ways to try to keep things from you. So that's one of the things, that I kind of deal with on a daily basis. Let's see. We'll do one more question before we start to wrap up, and then we'll come back to Q&A. So I didn't forget about you guys and girls. Again, trying to keep it all around here. Jonathan says, "What's good? First time here." Jonathan, thank you for joining. Please like and subscribe and check out the other videos and the other interviews. I'm on my way to 50. I have to figure out what I'm gonna do for my 50th episode, by the way. Let's see. Here we go. Jonathan says, "I'm an inspiring cyber professional, currently working my way up from the hospitality industry. I can't wait to start my new career." No, absolutely. And you actually already have a skill. Believe it
Mm-hmm.
or not, in the hospitality business, you already have a transferable skill, your communication skills. That will take you a long way. I can
100%.
teach I can teach you the skill. I can teach anybody the skills. I can teach you what tools to use. I can teach, right? But if you learn how to document and you learn how to communicate your documentation, you'll go a very long way.
Soft
So,
skills, don't sleep on them.
yes. Sammer says, "Glad I'm not the only one struggling with time management." No, the struggle is real.
It is an art form,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yep. There she is. I see. We said her name and she came
Hey!
up. We said her name and she came up. So she says, "Man," she says Mckenna. She said, "Love her," and she says hashtag Cyberjutsu tribe.
She heard me talking about her.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, we talked her up.
Hmm.
So Jonathan says, "I have a question. I want to be a cybersecurity analyst, and I'm currently done with the Google IT support cert. Do you guys think I should get help desk, or can I go straight for analyst?" You could probably go straight for analyst. And Mary also said, "Go straight for analyst."
Hmm.
Yeah, go straight for analyst. And honestly, yeah, go into a SOC. It's You're essentially learning the same things that you would learn in help desk, but you're getting that cybersecurity experience, which is highly sought after.
100%. Yeah.
And let's see, we have Marcus here, so go holla at Marcus, because Marcus got some stuff he can help you with the SOC. And Mary says, "I was in hospitality. You can work cyber there. Worked at a casino."
It's a good point.
Yep,
Cyber's everywhere.
definitely. All right, so McKenna. I mean, actually, we're almost done with February, which sucks because Black History Month is almost over. But what are your goals for the rest of 2022? Yes, 2022.
Oh, that's a great question. Um, for me, a big thing, like with my career, I'm working towards a promotion. I just had an excellent review, so pat on the back for me. So I'm working towards that promotion this year. But outside of that, my main focus is to really help WSC or WSC, excuse me, sorry, Mary. I'm really wanting to really boost the webinars team, get more interviews in, do more conversations. I really want to do the Twitter space. I really want to get people in to come talk about their day in a life. I really want to drive a lot of attention and energy towards that. So my big thing is to really take that volunteer work that I'm doing to the next level. And another thing, a big goal would be to kind of relax this year. I had a really busy last 2 years,
Yep.
and I think I kind of have earned it to just relax and enjoy the work that I do and enjoy my time with my family. But I do plan to do a lot more for my blog on Twitter. So I know I'm kind of on and off right now, but my focus is to really kind of build a base, really connect with people, and to continue to like do outreach on teaching people how to like blue team themselves and really protect themselves in the digital age. So that's a big passion of mine. That's a big focus for me that for this year.
Yep. And I'll agree, because like I said, who do we do that talk for? What was that panel?
That was
Was that
for
O'Shea's panel with the
yeah,
share the mic? But yeah, and that was what? Was that 2 years ago now or a year ago?
yeah, it was like a year ago. I think that's where I originally met you. That's
Yeah,
where I met Kiki.
and
Yeah.
and Ozzy and yeah, but
Hmm.
yeah, I can say yeah, in that short so in that short amount of time, like yeah, I've seen you skyrocket. So that's amazing. You've been killing it, and yeah, you do deserve a break. And Mary, if you're still watching, she talked about doing the interviews and stuff, and I told her she can find me. So please don't bully me, okay?
I'll
I said
bully
I
them
would do
for
it.
you. I'll just
I,
do it myself.
so all right, so real quick, so imagine you're in an elevator, someone comes to you and they ask you a quick elevator pitch, 3 tips to help them get into tech. What would they be? And go.
Biggest tip is to find a community. Um, Find a community where you can be inspired and where you can be empowered. Wherever that may be, whoever that may be, find a community. Second thing is before you ask of that community to help you, like help the community. So a big thing is like get your projects out there, be part of a project. There's lots of open source projects out there. And another one is to build, like have something you're always working on. Because at the end of the day, you know, sure, these certs are great and you can get all the certs if you want. You can be what do they call them, paper tiger. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's the work that you do. So kind of save yourself some time and stress and just like do something, build something, create something. So be part of a community, give back to the community, and create something.
There you go. Okay. And
You were
final
changing.
question. Final question. What is your why?
Oh, I think I have many whys, but I think the one that I care most about is I just care about security and like just safety and protection, not just like for infrastructure, but I care about safety in general. I want people to trust the companies that they use. I want people to trust the softwares that they depend their lives on, the devices that they depend their lives on. And also my why is like cybersecurity is never boring. You know, I'm never bored. There's always something. There's always something to do. And I mean, you have to be careful. That can lead to burnout, but it invigorates me. I really love it. I really love always having something to dig into, something to discover, something to become good at. So, I mean, I just have a desire to grow. So that's a big why for me.
Love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. That was actually by accident, but it still worked. So yeah, I definitely love it. Like you have to have a love for what you do. You have to have a passion. A lot of people don't like to use that word, but it has to be rooted somewhere. It has to be like my thing is, yeah, I want to teach about security. I want people who came from communities that didn't that think security can't, security issues can't happen to them, show
Hmm.
them that it can. I think about kids. I think about the younger generation and the lack of awareness that they have for whatever reason it may be. I think about like my daughter and my niece and the young girls who kind of deal with a lot of nonsense that you see on social media that correlate because they'll never admit it, but the moment cell phones became easier to access and kids had more access to these cell phones and social media, the childhood suicide rate like skyrocketed. They'll never
Hmm.
say that it was one and the same, but I mean, put two and two together. So I definitely, I feel the same way that you have you have to want things to be better. And yes, when you get to a certain point, the money's not bad either. But if you don't
I
have that
do love money.
drive, yeah, if you don't have that drive to really be great at what you do, you know, the money's not going to you're not going to be able to hold on to it.
Mm-mm.
That's one of the things that you see now. Going back to what you said with the paper tigers, they're getting certifications but don't have the experience, or they're
Right.
getting the certifications and may have cheated, whether it was a brain dump or whatever, to get the certification, thinking it was going to help them get the job, and now they still can't get the job, and they have this shiny certification and can't do anything with it.
Right.
So, it is what it is. Okay, so Mary says, oh, she's still here, and she says yes. So yeah, I already, yeah, we're gonna work that out. Ty says, can I be the Tech Nine of hacking? Hey,
You
you
can
can
do
be
whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. Don't let them tell you otherwise. So, all right. So, Mckenna, please tell these people how to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter at CyberKenna, and you can find me on my blog at cyberlit.co. So come say hi. Come talk to me. I'm pretty easy to talk to.
Yeah.
I like to talk, obviously.
Well, you haven't really been on Twitter like that in a while. I mean, I don't blame you, because Twitter's a
It's a
circus.
lot, but you know what? There's a lot of great people there for all of the other trolls and dumpster fire that's out there. There are some amazing people there. So I do plan to be on Twitter more often, but yeah, just come on and talk to me. And you can always find me somewhere at WSC. I'm there all the time.
Plug. There you go. Plug it. I've been plugging stuff all day. You go ahead. So, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, this has been my guest, Mckenna Yakey. Thank you. We'll run it. Like I said, I appreciate you being on the show. Let's see. Kalila says, "I'm so proud of you." No, I like I said, I'm as am I. Great session as always. No, I appreciate you, Satellite. No, like I said, personally, like I said, I think I knew about you from before that, but then when we did the panel, and then I think that's when we connected. And like I said, just kind of watching you build and grow. And I mean, even I think I don't was I there when that whole idea of doing the Cyberjutsu. I think there was a stream or something, and I heard the rumblings of it. But yeah, seeing what you've been doing, like, it's definitely definitely great. I commend you on it. I congratulate you on it. Keep going, keep building, keep striving to be better. And like I said, you get everything that you deserve. So,
Thank you.
Shout out to you. Shout out to your support system. You had your brother, you have your husband in here. So you got the applause. It's great to have that support system. Like I said, I have one of my own. That's awesome. So yeah, keep going, keep building. Just like I said, take the time for yourself.
Absolutely.
Do not, like, that burnout is real. It is the worst, and sometimes it's hard to pick back up where you left off. And listen to your body. Like, your body will tell you when it's tired. And if you don't listen, I saw one the other day that said, if you don't what did it say? If you don't take time for your wellness, you're gonna spend more time, coming back from your illness. So,
and
yep.
shoot, I just hit 30 in January. I'm already feeling it.
Well, happy belated birthday, and I'm a lot older than 30. So, I think I just started getting into cybersecurity when I was 30. So half my career was already there. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching now, if we could do maybe 2 or 3 questions, but while we wait, we're just going to give a quick programming note. There will be no InfoSec Unplugged next week. I am going to take a little break, at least just from InfoSec Unplugged. Reason being is that Hacker Valley Blue season 1 should be launching very soon. We have a date. It's a soft date, but when that date is finalized, we will announce it, but it will be within the next few weeks. So I'll be working over there with the Hacker Valley team just to make sure that we get season 1 off to the right start. But I will be back. I will be sending out emails and calendar invites to folks who want to be on the show. So if you want to be on the show, you know how to find me. Hit me up on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Please remember to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Please, if you haven't done so already, like this video, get the algorithm up, share it. Let's get Mckenna out there. Let's get the algorithm boosting, and let's just kind of build it up. And like I said, I will see you guys and girls, because I'm including everybody. I will see everybody with the launch of Hacker Valley Blue. And like I said, I will be back before you know it with InfoSec Unplugged. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere and disappearing again. I don't need y'all beating me up or in the DMs about coming back. But like I said, I'll definitely be back soon. In the meantime, though, speaking of the Hacker Valley family, please go check out Chris and Ron. They are starting their new live show starting next week at 7:30. I think that's the technically divided show. If you got Ron, if you're still here, I don't know if you are, but go check that one out. That's going to be a great show. It's going to be a conversation, dealing with a lot of topics that you hear about in cybersecurity and addressing some of them. For example, is there a tech shortage? Do you need to know coding? Stuff like that. And they're going to have a bunch of different guests. You're going to see some people that some people that you don't. But go check them out. Like I said, 7:30. They're going to be streaming it on their Hacker Valley media channels on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube, but it's definitely going to be on LinkedIn as well. So when I get that information, I will send that over to everybody as well. Go support them. Go support what they're doing over there. Again, congratulations to them with everything that they're doing. I'm not just saying it because I'm on the team now, but it does help because I'm on the team now. So ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, this has been another episode of InfoSec Unplugged. I have been your host, Davin Jackson. This has been my guest, Mckenna Yakey. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week with something else. Not InfoSec Unplugged, but you'll see me soon enough. So until then, like I said, you know how to find me. Let me know what you think of the show in the comments, and go give Mckenna a follow. Till then, take care.